Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Beneath Your Skin. This is Gaia, still going crazy. Hello, my dear. How are you doing?
I've probably passed the point and have become crazy. So Zoe here. I have noticed how much of conversations I have with my cat. The two of us talk together frequently. It's a whole new language. I am learning cat.
Well, I think cats are great for conversations, and they are amazing when they have to look at you like you are crazy, and they are a little bit judgy, exactly what we need. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think you are doing the right thing,
there we
Zoe.
go.
What is not the right thing is watching the movies we are watching lately.
Why did we choose these ones? Why? Oh, I blame
I
you. It's Prime. It's Prime's fault.
Yeah, let's blame Prime because really, what is really pissing me off about the movie we are analyzing today, called the Ouija Exorcism, is that it got some good ideas. It could have been something interesting. It could have been a movie offering us a different point of view, a different view about exorcism, because this time we saw for the first time a Jewish rabbi trying to save his son from a demon. But no, no, no,
No.
no. We, even with this good base, even with this good idea, they were able to ruin the movie. The movie has a good beginning, is a strong starting point. It was also very interesting, but since the beginning, we can see plot holes everywhere. We have these three children. The other boy, Yusuf, decided it was a good idea to steal a Ouija board from his father's office and wrap it as a great gift to his friend. Of course, you can imagine what happened. Everyone died. Max and his family died. But when the father arrived at the house after Yusuf called him, admitting, oopsie, perhaps I made a mistake, he arrives and the mother is already dead. She has her stomach cut open. And the father, too, is already dead. But at some point, the father is being possessed, and you can't possess a corpse for obvious reason. Then, close to the end of the movie, we find out that people rumored that it was Yusuf who went crazy and killed Max and his family. But that can't be, because the continuity. So, Max is possessed at the beginning. We can think Max is the one who killed his mother and father. But then the father is possessed, and the father passes the demon into Yusuf. But that was at the end. So the mother was already dead, and the father too, because that possessed corpse. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. You wanted for us to believe, to think that it was Yusuf who killed the family, but you showed us that that wasn't the case. I am very disappointed. I really am very disappointed, because at least with demon language, we knew it was a bad movie since the beginning. This one could have been an interesting one. I would have been interested into watching this kind of movie, but I am not interested in a family drama. The yoga girl
Oh God, yeah.
is basically being this happy and naive woman. We found out she's in truth a shaman. When did you even imply she was? Never, never before. And she has books about demons and demonology. And she has books written in Hebrew. Why do you have books written in a language that you don't even speak? And she admits it. And you have books speaking about demons. And the moment you unlock Yusuf memories, you find out that the demon who killed his friend's family is Belial, one of the biggest name in hell. So you basically are telling me that you wasted most of the movie talking about things that we don't care about, instead than preparing for what should have been an epic battle. And in truth, it was a swim in the pool that ended up with bodies everywhere. And that's the movie.
Oh, it was like when it started and it was uncorked. Obviously, the same studio that bought us, Demon Tongue. I was like, oh dear. But I do like your idea that I should be drinking while watching this. But I forgive horror films a lot of time when they're low budget, because sometimes it doesn't matter about the budget as long as the story is there. And sometimes a low budget horror film looks way better than one where they throw all the special effects in. So I've got no problem with it looking a bit like low grade and grainy, because, it's fine. So it was low budget, and I was accepting that. They definitely could act better than they could in the previous movie. The acting wasn't off the charts, but it was a lot more believable. And then I was like, okay, all right. Oh, and then we're going to have like Jewish mythology and see how the Jewish community deal with demonic possession and how it comes through. And I'm like, do the Jews even use Ouija boards? Maybe I'm just going to go with the fact that the father just confiscated it. But then there was a really weird line in there about how it wasn't in Hebrew because it was in Chinese. And I'm like, you can't just say Chinese, because Chinese could be Hokkien, Mandarin, Cantonese, there's more than one dialect of Chinese. And then you looked at the board and it was all written in it had ABCD on it, and it had 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, dudes, if this is really in Chinese, it would have been in this. It would be in, I don't know what the Chinese word for kanji is, but it would be in the kanji. It would be in Chinese. And also the Chinese wouldn't have Ouija boards. They would have Taoist spirit boards and things like that. It's like, don't just, I hate it when movies just randomly throw in cultural things to make them seem cool. It's like, if you haven't researched the culture that you're using in this, don't use it. Don't throw aspects of different cultures into your movies without knowing anything about them. You can't, the last one, you can't have Norse runes in a film about freaking Stygian languages in Latin. And this one is we've got Jewish, Chinese, and then we've got shamans. And I'm like, but shamans that come from really older ethnic cultures. When I think of shamans, I think of either the shamanic priests of Thailand, or I think of Native American shamans. I definitely don't think of yoga instructors. They're hippies. Hippies aren't shamans. She's just she'd be pagan, potentially pagan. And I suppose you could get pagan shamans. And then they kept just talking about most shamans are actually female because the men like to wear dresses. And I'm like, well, they're just being dumb. And a lot of shamans don't wear dresses. In fact, a lot of shamans don't wear clothes. You'd be wearing whatever natural things are to commune as much with nature as possible to get the power of the earth on your side, or the power of your past spirits. Your ancestral spirits would be there. That's not how shamanism works. I've watched enough horror films and I've studied enough culture and I've travelled enough to know that this is all annoying me. So I got annoyed a lot. And then I could not see why the woman was with that guy. It's well, he's clearly cheating. He's clearly rude. He's clearly bad. Why are you bothering with him? And it's the first thing he does is go and shag the woman, and no one seems to be pissed with the woman. And I'm like, woman, you've just seen the woman, the boyfriend, and the kid all turn up for holiday, and you sleep with her boyfriend? I'm like, no, shaman, you're a dick. Lady, yogi instructor. No, so there was quite a few dick people in it that I didn't like. I don't care about the teen romance. There wasn't any scares. They didn't build up any tension. Nothing moved. No doors shut by themselves. No one was watching them at night. There was nothing really supernatural going on. It was just lots of oh, I hear something in the bushes. Oh, no, it's the shaman. Oh, I'm having flashbacks. I've forgotten my past. Oh, stuff is happening. Oh, you better not use the Ouija board on your own because you'll let it out. So we'll just leave it out for douchebag to be like, hey, look, it's Ouija board. I love these. Woohoo! Oh, you're dumb. You're making dumb decisions. And then it wasn't even about like the Hebrew or the Jewish belief systems and how that deals with supernatural entities. And then they drop freaking Belial. And I'm like, but Belial's pretty famous. Like, there's a couple of demons that like a lot of people know the names of. And like if Belial was like locked in a trunk, you can't just have, oh, it's Belial and it not do anything. Literally, it didn't do anything. And the possessed voice was terrible. Like, I was like, oh my god, that's a bad voice. And then they all just basically got in the swimming pool and had a bit of a party in the swimming pool where they got wet and then people just randomly died all the time. And the big anticlimactic ending of like, oh no, he's been stabbed. Let's hug. The end.
Yeah.
That's how you defeat Belial, one of the most famous demons in the Necronomicon. And the Necronomicon is like, whoa, that's got nothing to do with like Hebrewism. Like, don't. Oh, I hate it.
No, indeed. And I want to point out two things related about what you just said. So, the instruction for using the Ouija board are in Chinese, of course.
Yeah.
So you are telling me that the Ouija board is using Latin letters and Arabic numbers, but the instruction to use it are actually in Chinese. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, you wanted to make things complicated and you did it, but you also fucked it up royally. Another fuck up is how the board is still inside the house, neatly wrapped into what is called the taled. That's the scarf the Jewish people, male Jewish people, use to touch the Torah. So another thing that you just dropped there about culture you don't know anything about, and you didn't even explain why. And I was like, okay, so the father wrapped the thing in his taled, and then he put it in a chest, unlocked. The movie doesn't make any sense, even because, okay, we jump in time, of course. 30 years later, the man is dying. Yusuf, who is now called Joe and didn't see his father for 30 years, brings Noah, his son, to meet his grandfather for no reason, honestly, because he was left in foster care. So basically, the father signed up his rights as a parent. So there is no reason for them to reconnect. This movie doesn't fix anything. But so he now is called Joe. He cut all the ties and burn all the bridges with his Jewish life. And yet people are welcoming him like they just saw him yesterday. It makes even less sense when we find out that the last thing they heard about him was that he had lost it and killed his friends and his family. You don't simply reconnect with someone you don't see in 30 years and you think it's a murder like they did in the movie. You don't invite this stranger to your family vacation, because that's exactly what he is to Beverly now, a stranger, and Beverly is a stranger to him. And Noah falls for Chloe he just met the day before, and it really doesn't make any sense because there is no development of any character. And even less, you are telling me you want us to know, and so you are repeating time and time again that Yusuf cut all his ties to his Jewish past. So why the hell the son is called Noah? That is a very strong Hebrew name. Explain things to me, please, because really, at the end of the movie, I'm left with more questions than I had at the beginning, and I have no answers at all.
At all.
This movie wanted, at least in my opinion, wanted to be a tale about different generations passing an inheritance to each other, but it failed. It could have been an amazing movie For once, we could have had a movie about demonic possession seen in the male point of view. No mothers sacrificing themselves to save the children, because that's natural for a real mother. So we could have seen a father doing that instead, but he didn't, because Yusuf's father didn't have the courage to sacrifice himself to stop Belial once and for all. For the Jewish people, suicide is a crime, exactly like for the Catholic people. So he was more worried about his own soul than about his boy. Okay, Yusuf was different from him. To save Noah, he sacrifices himself, but is that doesn't make any sense. Like all the adults in the movie die. So Noah was ready to leave for college, but Chloe, was she the same age? Was she still in high school? What's going to happen to them now? They are two teenagers left alone in the world after a very traumatic experience.
Which they're so going to get blamed for. Because
Of course.
the authorities are going to turn up and be like, everybody's dead, and you've got blood in your hands, and your fingerprints are on the knife you used to kill your dad.
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't a happy ending. It was a, well, you're going to jail, and there's no way you're going to prove. And also, like, Belial possessed people, and then Belial was able to possess a corpse. So how did killing the dad stop Belial? It wouldn't have done. You would have just killed the body. Stopping Belial, you can't stop Belial for a start. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't disappear. He just goes back to hell. You need to close the conduit that allowed him to traverse into our world. So what you need to do is salt and burn the Ouija board. But you need to put the spirit back in the Ouija board, then you salt and burn it, and then you can't kill Belial. You can't. It's not a demon that powerful. Like, the most you can do is send it back to hell and hope it doesn't find another idiot to let it back into this world. And if you let Belial out, Belial would have just taken the first host, got in the car, and been like, woohoo, off to cause mayhem. It wouldn't have stuck around for this pathetic family in the middle of nowhere. So I've got bigger fish to fry. I'm Belial.
Yes, I am the fourth king of hell. Only 3 people are stronger than me. Really?
Yeah.
And he spent years and years locked into a Ouija board. We don't even know how he ended up there.
Yeah. Oh, they'll do the prequel like they do the Annabelle movies. And it's like, how did Belial get trapped? It's like, no, Belial would not have got trapped unless some really amazingly powerful rabbi was able to trap the spirit. And if he was able to do that, would certainly have not sealed it in a non-locked box. Would have put it away for like life. If you can't burn the Ouija board and salt and burn it, and you can't but you can trap the beast in it, then you seal it. You bury that at the bottom of an ocean. You
Or you pass the Ouija board generation from generation inside your family, telling exactly why it's fundamental to keep studying the Torah and the rituals, and why is it fundamental to keep the board safe until the moment one of your blood relatives decide they want to use Belial for their own gaining, and that's how Belial gets free.
Exactly.
That would have been a much more interesting movie than what we watched.
Damn straight it would. I mean, half the movies that we come up with together would make better movies. Like, one day, the two of us is going to have to write a script because we know how to do this. But it's just like, you wouldn't trap a demon with, trapping demons is because you make deals with the devil. You make deals with them. That's why you conjure them in the first place. Something as powerful as Belial can give you a lot. You have to be a good person to resist that. And you would have told people that one of the 4 kings of bloody hell is in the box. That,
Yeah. And at some point, your blood gets corrupted by the knowledge your family accumulated
Yeah.
during the time, and you want to make a deal with Belial. So you free him, and at first you think you won because he offers you what you want, but you don't realize what the price is that you just paid. Hypothetical movie. You already have a son who, like you, knows about the family inheritance. And he realizes that you brought dishonor on the whole family because you let Belial free. You are basically the cause of everything going wrong in the world because
Yeah.
Belial is powerful enough to cause destruction on higher levels than being trapped in a
Yeah.
in in a family house for a vacation. We could have seen the epic journey of this young man, still unsure about his path. He doesn't want to be a rabbi, he wants to be something else in life. But then he realizes that his path was chosen for him since the beginning of his family line. And he accepts the border of being the one to lock Belial back into the Ouija board. But at that point, you know your family is already corrupted. So you know that sooner or later someone else will do again what your father did. And that's how you decide to go nowhere, being basically an hermit and the only one to watch over the board. So you make your own deal with the demon. You gain immortality and you use it to watch over the board until the end of time when you know you are going to burn in hell because you sold your soul. It doesn't matter why you did it. It doesn't matter if you were a good person and didn't use your gift to cause pain and sorrow. You sold your soul and you must be punished for that. And we could have explored the concept of immortality at the end of time. What's going to
Oh,
happen if you are immortal and time runs out?
yes. And then, yeah, especially like it depends on which religion you are. You feel like how's it going to go down? I'd love something that did that. That kind of explores like the end of the world and the various gods coming back, going right. Which heaven, which afterlife are you coming to? And and there's like some like there's this battle, and then it turns out. I mean, I always quite like the idea of gods being a bit of dicks. So it turns out that gods are actually playing a game to see who gets the most like support and who gets the most people coming to their, and they're like, I won the game, and then yeah, and it's just like, oh god. But then you got these poor immortal who's like, well, I can't like choose because I can't die, so like you've got to like where am I going to go? And it's like, well, you're gonna like burn in hell. But I'm like, if it's hell on earth, then I get to stay on earth, then do I? Like, and it's like, well, then there can't be a clear winner amongst the gods because the rules very much state that like you have to choose your like afterlife. And it's, oh, just interesting.
Yeah, we could have watched it, really.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Oh, God. At the end of this podcast, we really will write a script
Yeah.
for an horror movie. So you know that, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
We will have this
Oh,
down.
oh yes. Oh yes. So, as you can say, people, we didn't really enjoy the movie, but we enjoyed to talk about it, and we enjoyed to think about potential ideas for what this movie could have been. Thank you for listening. And if you want to join us and let us know what you think about the movie, you can drop us a line on our Twitter account at beneath_your, or you can visit our Facebook page, Beneath Your Skin, or you can find us on Spotify, Beneath Your Skin. Thank you for listening, and we hope you are still alive, honestly. See you next time. Bye bye.
As always, it's a pleasure. I've really enjoyed pulling this movie apart and creating our own mythology and our own concept. I think, yeah, that was much more entertaining than the actual film. I hope everyone else enjoyed listening to this, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.